start of the season we saw your brother leave. Can you just say a few words for us about how that affected you, if it did at all?
It was disappointing for him to leave in obviously a family sense, and the fact that I've enjoyed, been lucky as well to have the opportunity to play football with my brother for the last 10, 15 years. But we always knew it would come to an end. And through the summer, I think Philip, it wasn't a rash decision. I think Philip, over a period of time, had been thinking that he wanted to be guaranteed first team football, or certainly get more games. And obviously I didn't want it to end in that sense, but he was brave and made the decision, and he was taken by what David Moyes said to him at Everton, and the rest was history.
August was a great month, unbeaten and hadn't conceded, but then by the end of September we're 10 points behind Chelsea.
Yeah, we started the season pretty well, and then, not an excuse, but we got some injuries. I was injured, Roy Keane was injured, I think Ryan Giggs had an injury, and there were a few more around that time. Gabriel Hines got injured, and we lost, I think, our way for 3 months, September, October, November, and parts of December as well. I would say we lost our way. We weren't at our best. We were certainly lacking in confidence, and there were a lot of questions. We went out of Europe around that time as well, and it was difficult for us because we didn't have the experienced players, back and fully fit. I think Ryan broke his cheekbone as well, and it was difficult. I think that some of the younger players in the team probably weren't. We was wondering what had hit them. And at that time it was a low point for us, and the questions were being asked, and rightly so, because the performances weren't good enough.
You really put the fighters on Chelsea, didn't you? Did you actually believe you could catch them?
I think we always felt we were 3 or 4 points behind. I think we were enjoying the chase. I mean, after the Bolton game away, they drew at Birmingham and we won at Bolton, and it was talked about that 7 points behind, 5 games to go, but just not enough games, or certainly not close enough to them to put real pressure on them. I would have loved to have had 10 games to go. I think we'd have seen a real race then. But their consistency this season has been fantastic, and you've got to give them credit for that. Our consistency came too late, but still, we talked about wanting to close the gap on them and get nearer to them, and we certainly have done that. We were 18 points behind in I think February, and we got nearer than that, that's for sure.
Well, you've stepped into the captain's boots, so to speak. What was that like when you found out?
Well, it was a great honour. I mean, at the time when Roy left, it obviously left a vacancy for the captaincy, and I was delighted to be given the job, and something that I hope I can do with great pride and honour, and also success, more importantly. And so far it's been okay. We've lost a couple of games, but I've enjoyed it. The team is playing fantastically well and has done since Christmas, and I think that's something that everybody's enjoyed, and I just hope that we can continue to play like that this season, next season, because if we do, then we've got a great chance of winning trophies.
Well, it wasn't long before you managed to pick up your first trophy as captain, the Carling Cup. What was that like, picking that up?
It was a great moment, and I think the Carling Cup had always been or the League Cup had always been a trophy that had eluded the club and myself over the last 10 years, and I think it was a big day for us. Not because, don't get me wrong, it's the lesser of the trophies and will be every season for us, but it was a big moment for us as a team. We had to start somewhere. Lads in the team hadn't won trophies before. It was a big occasion, a cup final, a great day out, and we won. Played a great game, and difficult opponents, Wigan. We had a great season themselves, and I think we said at that point we just hoped it would catapult us to a different level of confidence and authority, and I think since then we've looked a different team altogether, and we look a far better team.
Well, just a quick word on Louis, because that was his competition really. He scored every round.
Louis Saha was one of the most difficult players I've ever played against. I said that when he signed for the club, and I'm not just saying that because he signed, but he really was a handful to United over 4 or 5 matches, to all the centre-halves who played against him. And we hadn't really seen that up until this season because of injury, and obviously the fact of the matter is he's got Ruud van Nistelrooy and Wayne Rooney as well, Alan Smith. So it's been difficult for him to get a run, but we finally, I think, saw in end of February, March and early parts of April what Louis Saha is about, and that he's a nightmare to play against. And it was his competition. He did fantastically well in it, and I think it just goes to show that United fans over the previous season and a half hadn't seen anywhere near the best of him.
Well, on the subject of goal scoring, you found a new goal scorer in Rio. It was about time.
It was about time, Rio. he's just a decoy runner at corners, really. He's not going up there for anything else other than to make a nuisance of himself. But he should be scoring more goals because he's got great pace in the box. He's got good height, and the goal against Liverpool was a fantastic goal and certainly a big goal for us.
Well, how about the FA Cup? Were you disappointed with the run?
Disappointed going out to Liverpool. I mean, that's always disappointing going out to anybody. But we got a hard draw. Liverpool away. Whilst I'm a big United fan, if you play Liverpool away, Chelsea away, Arsenal away, in any game, in any season throughout the last 100 years, that is a game that you can win, but you can also lose. It's not a game that you can go into saying we're going to win today. You know that you're going to have to play very well. And so on the day they were just a little bit better than us, and we didn't play, to be honest with you. It's probably our last poor performance this season, and certainly one that didn't please us, but we recovered from it, and it was always a game that was going to be difficult.
Well, how would you sum up this season as a whole?
Season as a whole? And let's talk about the second half. I think the first half was poor. Slightly unfortunate with injuries, certainly, but we didn't play well either. And at that time there was definitely, a lot of criticism coming our way. It wasn't enjoyable for anybody at the club, I don't think, and certainly any player or manager or fan. Second half of the season, I think that there's, the dark clouds have disappeared, if you like, and people are starting to think, well, these young players that people have talked about, the Rooneys, Ronaldos, and you've seen Louis coming in and do brilliantly, Ji-Sung Park and Giggsy and John O'Shea in midfield, and Rude's come in and scored goals. You see a different sort of feeling about the club, and, people are starting to say, well, they're only, one or two players maybe away from being a great team, and, at the moment we're showing great consistency, we're showing a level of performance that I think, we're playing two wide players, two up front, two in midfield, and we're looking like we're going to attack all the time, score goals, and I think the fans have got enjoyed the last 3-4 months of the season, even though we maybe haven't been involved in the championship race. I think they've enjoyed seeing us play in the way that we've played and the style that we've shown.
It has been exciting, I have to say, as a fan myself. There was always that little extra that you could maybe catch Chelsea.
Yeah.
But what for next season?
Same goals as ever next season, but it gets more desperate by the season, doesn't it? Winning that championship. I think to talk about the European Cup would be wrong. I think the championship is what we have to aim for. You've no right to talk about the European Cup. Don't get me wrong. We'll be going all out for it, and hopefully we can go on a run like Liverpool and Arsenal have done in the last 2 seasons, and get to the final. That would be fantastic. But the championship is what we have to be about next season. We have to start the season in the same manner we've ended this season, consistently winning matches, even when you're not playing quite as well, win matches, and certainly that'll be something that we're looking forward to next season, because we're going into next season certainly with more confidence, or should be, than we started this season.
Well, just finally, your goal of the season and why?
The goal of the season, I'll say Rio Ferdinand against Liverpool, just for the fact Liverpool last minute, and it was Rio scoring. I mean, if it had been a tap-in, I'd have said him as well, but just a great moment, I think, for us.